A lot of people on my dorm floor continuously every day, and this is a good thing, I think. Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm some sort of prophet of political knowledge. But yeah, so a lot of people ask me, how are the polls looking today, Ari? Is Trump up? Is Kamala up? What are the polls looking like? What are the swing states? How's Pennsylvania? I have a few friends from Pennsylvania that I've gotten to know over this semester. But, as much as I am hawking at these polls, like, it's kind of bad. I can't wait for this all to be over, to be honest, because it's distracting, to say the least, because there's always, every couple of hours, especially throughout the daytime, this poll, that poll, Puerto Ricans are not supporting Trump anymore. No, never mind, they are. Hispanics love Trump, this and that. Muslims, this. So the polls are, you know, as of right now, the only thing we can look at in terms of like, this is how Trump's doing, this is how Kamala's doing. But I thought I would give a 101 sort of guide to how to view the polls, how to interpret the polls for someone who's not really, you know, that involved in politics, so to speak. So I'll backtrack to 2016. 2016, the polls had Hillary Clinton had about an 80% chance to win the election. Obviously, that didn't happen. They overestimated Hillary's odds by, I believe, 4%, 4% in terms of polling nationally, um, which was not good at all. Obviously, they thought that Hillary would be a landslide victory. Um, the current hypothesis now among pollsters was, well, in 2016, because of the media and because Donald Trump was an outsider to politics, it was hard to categorize who a typical Trump voter would be like. When answering a poll, they might feel, discouraged to say they're supporting Trump because he was really an outsider back in those good old days. But yeah, so fast forward to 2020, however, the polls missed the mark again. But believe it or not, they overestimated Joe Biden even more than they did Hillary Clinton. And a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people don't talk about that just simply because Joe Biden won. So if the polls got it right, it doesn't matter, how off they were, they got it right. But yeah, they overestimated Biden. Biden did not do as well as he did. You look at the electoral votes and it says he won 300 and Trump won 240 or something. But all these swing states are talking Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan. These were very, very, very small margins. I watched a YouTube video about how about 21,000 people in the U.S. effectively decided to pick Joe Biden as president. And if those 21,000 people switched to Trump, then we would be experiencing maybe a J.D. Vance or Mike Pence campaign. Trump would be nearing his end of his term. So, that was a very close election, despite what despite what the Electoral College says. And now you have the midterms in 2022, and a lot of people say, what, the numbers were very accurate, because we got it. The polls were very close. But I'd like to point out two things. It was a Trumpless election, one, and two, midterms are not general elections. We already have great information that this is a very high turnout election. In the midterms, people don't really turn out as much. The demographics are usually college, liberal, white, educated people. So, they obviously swing Democrat and they, muck up the polls just a little bit. So yeah, but now so right now, if you were just to say, what, the aggregate of all these polls factored in are 100% accurate, no matter what, then Trump would still win because he's up in most of the swing states other than Michigan, where I believe Kamala Harris is up 0.5. I know, right? 0.5. But that would be it. If you apply that 2016 or that 2020 bias, Trump would be up massively. This would be a landslide victory. However, I don't necessarily buy that argument just because, I don't know, maybe it's just my general trends or my echo chamber or just the fact that Trump has never been the favorite in an election, so it's a different feeling for sure. But if that is the case, then, there is a possibility that the polls are accurate or even maybe underestimating Kamala Harris. I would find it hard to believe because there's no concrete evidence, but there is a possibility. And if that is the case, then you're still looking at a 50-50 election. Now, another poll, if you will, that a lot of people bring up are betting markets. Elon Musk very famously tweeted, or infamously tweeted, depending on who you ask, the betting odds are more an accurate prediction because there's money on the line. I don't know if I buy that argument. Polymarket, which is the biggest aggregate, has Trump at 66.5% and Kamala at 33.6% chances of winning. There's just no way. I think the odds are that lopsided. First of all, Polymarket is illegal. You cannot, as someone in the U.S., you cannot bet. It's all crypto. It's all, and people who tend to bet are men and the demographics that swing conservative. So I don't know if I fully trust it. Maybe the day of the election. I don't know. We'll see. But in terms of what to look out for polls, a lot of polls get grades. So if it's an A, B, or C, that's relating to their past performance in 2020 and 2022. There was a Atlas Intel poll. I'm going to pull it up right now. Atlas Intel is the pollster that most accurately predicted the elections in 2022 and 2020. And they just came out with a fresh poll today, and it has Trump up 2.5% in the national poll. So if you take that as gospel, that means that Trump is headed up for a pretty decisive and safe victory because, as we know, the Electoral College, that's also another thing I want everybody watching to make sure that there's a difference between national polling and the chances of winning the Electoral College, because the Electoral College, is not at all tangential with the national vote, which, to put shortly, if Donald Trump is up 2.5%, he has a high probability that he is going to win the election if those numbers are accurate. Obviously, it's just one statistic. There are millions of possibilities of outliers and things of that nature. But if Kamala Harris wins the popular vote, that does not guarantee she wins the Electoral College in the same fashion as Trump. Just the way the Electoral College is set up, we can argue about that a little later. But in the swing states, Atlas Intel, like I said, most accurate pollster, has Trump up in, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Florida, and I think that's all the swing states and Wisconsin. But I believe, Wisconsin. However, they have Harris up in Michigan. That's the only, North Carolina. They have Trump up in every poll except for North Carolina. And, but regardless, these are very, very tight margins. Like, it's just mind-boggling. I don't think I've ever seen something like this. And, there's a statistic where it says, average amount of times pollsters inaccurately predicted, a president or a candidate's outcome 3 times in a row. That never happened. But like I said, this election has never happened before. This is something we've never seen. And I don't know, it's very hard to use historical data and historical trends because polling itself has changed and all these things. But if you had to take and remember one message from this video, is polls are a good source, but they're not the only source. They are often flawed, and there are a gazillion factors that come into predicting who will be the next president of the United States of America. So tread lightly, and the best thing you can do at this point is just vote. So thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you enjoyed it.